Gunmen on Friday attacked the convoy of the former Minister of Transportation and ex-River State Governor Rotimi Amaechi in Ubima community, Ikwerre local government area of River State, while also setting ablaze the ward office of the African Democratic Congress in the area. Amaechi had returned to his hometown to participate in his electronic registration as a member of the ADC when the incident occurred. Reports indicated that suspected thugs had earlier mounted a roadblock along the Ubima-Omanwa road, preventing buses conveying party supporters from accessing the community ahead of his arrival. The attackers were said to have invaded the area on Thursday night and set the ADC ward office on fire before shooting sporadically within the community. The gunmen also reportedly riddled the gate of Amaechi's family residence with bullets in what appeared to be an attempt to intimidate him and disrupt the political event. However, when Amaechi eventually arrived at about 12:15 p.m., his security operatives engaged the attackers after they blocked his convoy. The confrontation forced the gunmen to retreat into nearby bushes after Amaechi's security team reportedly displayed superior firepower. Following the incident, Amaechi addressed supporters who had gathered for the e-registration exercise, urging them to remain calm and avoid violence despite the provocation. He also inspected the burnt ADC office following his visit. Amaechi commended the River State Commissioner of Police, the Director of the Department of State Services, and the Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps for their swift and professional response. He, however, called on security agencies to identify and prosecute those responsible for the attacks, warning that failure to protect lives could push citizens to resort to self-defense. The former governor also urged the state government to strengthen security across River State while encouraging ADC members to intensify mobilization ahead of future elections. What is your take on this, Ifeanyi Chukwugochukwu?
Laurentia, this is a very sad tale. This is very disheartening, to say the least. It's very, it's very shameful. It's very uncharitable for a democratic state like River State to be witnessing such in what we call, when we say that politics is a game of interest, your interest must not align with mine. And the state, those who have the state apparatus around themselves should not use it to intimidate others. And again, you agree with me that the face-off between Amaechi and Nyesom Wike's administration, or their fallout, has been deepening over the years, that those who call themselves stakeholders and elder statesmen in River State have not taken it into cognizance to bring those two brothers and two warring political gladiators to a round table. Everybody is concentrating on the Nyesom Wike and the Fubara face-off, leaving the bigger elephant, which is the two gladiators. Two of them now can pride themselves as former governors and ministers, And Amaechi still holds a superior political office compared to Nyesom Wike, because he was Speaker of the House of Assembly for 8 years, and he was even the chairman of Nigerian House of Assembly Speakers. So, and he served 8 years as a federal minister. So that rivalry is not ending anytime soon. And the people around are not doing anything about it. It is very, very unfortunate. And these are the two prominent sons of River State that when they come together, they could make other states quake when River State is mentioned in the Committee of States in Nigeria. And the attack on Amaechi is really something I call a childish act, because if Amaechi were to be, display the kind of things we know him for, because he was also a student leader. Nyesom Wike was also a student leader, and both of them are lawyers. There are so many groups and organizations in Nigeria that should call both of them to order. They have friends across the political divide, they have friends across professional divide that should call those, so that this electioneering season, Rivers State will not go back to the sad tales we know Rivers State for. Because Rivers State has been in the books of Nigerians, in the memory of Nigerians, for the very wrong reasons, especially during electioneering time. But this year is becoming obvious. But what made it not to be so obvious in 2022, 2023 was the executive orders that Nyesom Wike issued before that election that deterred some of the opposition parties from even having freedom to campaign in Rivers State, which, in my thinking, if it had happened like this, it would have been a very sad tale. Recall that Atiku was not allowed to come here to Rivers State to campaign, and APC was gagged, whose flag bearer was Tony Cole, and some other political parties, because of the executive orders put in place by the governor. So if the kind of person that the current governor is, Senator Fobara, who has not even found his feet, not to talk of issuing orders that will deter other political parties from carrying out their campaign and exercising their democratic rights, have not done that. So now you find out that Amaechi coming into Rivers State is his inalienable right. He has the right to campaign, has the right to be registered in his ward, which we saw other political parties do. So why will his own be different? And all fingers will be pointing at the opposition. Who is the opposition? Is the FCT militants camp.
But that's what you have been insinuating since you have been speaking, because yes. I wanted you to learn before I ask you that question. From your analysis so far, you, on the other hand, have also pointed fingers at the FCT minister.
Yes, of course.
When you were analyzing this whole thing, before you even went to the matter proper, you were analyzing the long-standing rivalry between both of them.
Yes.
And then you now started addressing the attack proper, and you still brought in the FCT minister into it. Now, usually when attacks happen, right, some certain groups come out to take responsibility that, oh, we did this, we did that. But in this instance, nobody has come out to claim responsibility for this. One would say probably it's a political attack, and therefore we are not expecting people to claim responsibility for that as well. However, you have now said it is that these gunmen are from you're alluding that, they are from the FCT minister's camp. From what you have been saying so far,
yes,
you are alluding that they are from the FCT minister's camp. What variables did you consider when you arrived at that conclusion?
Yes. From the inception of what I've said, Laurentia, because of the rivalry and the political climate in Rivers State we've seen over time, and with the tenacity and the obvious throwing caution to the wind that those people, they came on Thursday, assaulted people, set the place ablaze. We saw this during the fallout of 2023 general elections in Rivers State here. We saw people display, we saw people display native and traditional whatever around the INEC office. We also saw people who made inflammatory statements and nobody called them to account. We also saw the issue that is happening between the FCT minister's camp and the governor's camp. So nobody has come to hold anybody to account. And you recall that in any sense society, once something happens and the government did not react, I've not had the governor of Rivers State condemn the attack. I've not had any press release from there, just like what happened to Ubima in Edo State. Nobody claimed responsibility. I thank God you came to that realization that in our society, people don't claim responsibility for these infractions. And again, when it's endangering lives, the government, whether it is sponsored or not, but once something of this nature takes place in a state, like when I sat here last time, I said that Openholo and the federal government did not issue any statement condemning or, trying to, say something about what happened to P2B. That was sarcastic.
Hold on, he did. However you look at it, there was a reaction from the government of Edo State, but we are not discussing Edo State. Hold on, please. I don't want us to just oppose it at all, because they are not the same. The situations, the circumstances, everything, they are not the same. So I don't want us we will still come to Edo State story. I don't want us to merge it. They are not the same. But now you were talking about, you are making reference to certain political attacks that happened in the past in Rivers State, yes. And you said that
nobody took responsibility.
The government did not condemn. Well, one would say to a large extent, at some point in some of these attacks, the police came out to make statements.
And where are the white report?
Can you just hold on, please?
Yes.
You will still have your say. The police came out at some point to make statements. Now, whether the police gave us much later came out to give us updates on whatever it is, they did not. And in some cases, some persons were taken to court.
Yes.
For example, the bombing of the Rivers State House of Assembly complex. Some persons were taken to court. Until now, that matter, I don't know whether it's still alive or dead. Okay. But still moving on, there have been attacks also where the governor came out to address it. For example, sometime last year in 2025, towards the build-up of the local government elections, that was cancelled, the governor came to RISIEC office to make statements with regards to possible attacks, with regards to the fact that there were blockades and possible invasion of the RISIEC
office.
The governor came out to make statements to that effect. The governor at some point again has come out to react to certain attacks against his people, where he said clearly that they will have to, that he heard that there are plans to arrest some of his people. Actually, it was those people that actually did make some attacks, and he said they will have to pass through him to arrest any of his boys. I'm quoting the governor.
Of course,
now,
that's what he said.
When you say, oh, nobody has taken account, I can actually go on and give you examples of things that have happened in the past in Rivers State where one or two persons came out to react. Either the police reacted or the government reacted, which I've given you 2 instances with regards to the police and the governor. Now, moving forward, nobody has come out to claim. I'm asking these questions clearly because you have accused the FCT minister of being the brain behind these attacks on the former Minister of Transport, Rotimi Amaechi. If you say it is the FCT minister, what variables, I'm asking again, did you consider when you arrived at this very strong allegation?
You know, the variables are very clear because being a political watcher and also a student of political science, you begin to, take into account what happened in the last FCT council election, the statements credited to the FCT minister, then you also...
Statements like what?
The statements like, go and vote, leave the rest for me. If you're not supporting Mr. President, you're not going to win. These are the statements credited to FCT minister.
How does that translate to the violence in River State?
I'm going there. Those are weighty statements that could, could snowball or trigger into. You see, the FCT minister may not be necessarily giving orders, but this is Nigeria, where the attack dogs, the people that want to feel we are around, and we are doing this, and we are representing your interest. These are some of the things such people could do. But in River State, it is on record that the only opposition in River State now is Amaechi and the Wike's camp, because of the wave with which the ADC is coming with. Because ADC has just won their case. Since all this while Amaechi have been coming to River State and going, what has happened? Did anybody know that Amaechi comes in and goes? But now that Amaechi is coming to his village to register formally as a member of ADC, suddenly an attack ensued. If you draw in philosophy, that's what we call in logic, that's what we call the premises. You draw for your premises, your inference, you draw your conclusion. Your conclusions may be right or wrong, but from the invariables around you, you could deduce and then arrive at a conclusion. Then the major issue here for me is because of what it could portend in the polity of River State going forward. Because if with such such tenacity in the glare of the daylight, some people came to block a former governor of the state, block the people that were going to receive him from accessing the particular place. Not only that, setting the place ablaze, and even for Rotimi Amaechi to be applauding the DSS and the Commissioner of Police. But this attacks has gone on. Who prevailed on the attack? Who arrived at the nick of time to prevent that before he himself came in at about 12:15 in the noon? And it is on record that it is not even the response of those people, but his own security details that repelled the attack. Then the question will be, was there no distress call? Or in a case like this, was the people putting in place this political gathering, did they not alert the police in Ubima or its surroundings? Was there no police post, a DPO attached to the place? Was there no security arrangements made for the coming home of a former governor of the state, a two-time minister, and also a former speaker of the House of Assembly in River State? These are the things begging for question. Because if such attack could have gone on, and the assailants or the talks has perfected all what they planned, at the end of the day, they say that succor came in form of response. What do you call that? In the face of what we know Nigeria to be, people have their phones. Even I myself, immediately I see something at my neighborhood, I make calls to the police control. Then my final take on this will be, the political actors in River State should not take us to
let's not even get there at your final take yet, because we are still looking at the variables, and I want to take your variables. Let us, look into the variables you mentioned critically one by one. Now, the first variable you said you considered was the FCT minister's statement during the FCT local polls,
yes,
where you said he said that people should go and vote and leave the rest for him, and that if you're not supporting Tinubu, what will happen again? You will not win.
You will not win.
Correct?
He will not support you.
He will not support you. Now, if you're not supporting Tinubu, I will not support you. Then go and vote, leave the rest for me. This statement was made in FCT.
Yes.
How then does it translate to violence in ward registration in Ubima? I am trying to make two of them make sense, because
okay. Can I
this statement by the FCT minister was made with respect to an actual election.
Can I address
Now
that?
this is a pre-election exercise. Okay. It is purely a party matter. It is not even an election matter in this instance. It's purely a party matter. How does the statement that the FCT minister made that does not, is that statement violent? How does that translate to actual violence or actual shootout in Rivers State?
Do you know what?
Do you
know what political statements mean? When a political actor comes to make a statement, input, saying that, you know, if you don't support Mr. President, you will not win. I will not support you, you will not win. That in itself
is inciting.
All right. That in itself is very weighty. I think I defined it with the word weighty.
If you will not support President Tinubu, I will not support you.
And you will not win.
Hold on. Made in FCT with regards to FCT polls. Now let us look at what I will call a proper political statement that is inciting. When a former president of this country, before he became president, during the campaign said the blood of monkeys and baboons will be on the streets. What does that mean? Is that not a direct statement of violence?
A direct statement of violence that will be a fallout of the elections.
A fallout of the elections that was going to happen. A statement that was made during campaign when he said the blood of monkeys and baboons will be on the streets.
Yes.
This, we are now looking at it, right? Pre-election. Yes. This is pre-election during campaign season. As against the FCT minister statement that said, if you do not support President Tinubu, I will not support you. You will not win. And this was made during actual election in FCT. And then, roughly a week or some days later, there was a shootout in Ubima with regards to ward registration. Not even campaign, not even election.
These are political activities.
Hold on. It is a party activity. They are not the same in any way. At least I've established when this statement was made, why it was made, and we are looking at this. And somehow you're dragging a statement that was not inciting politically. That was not. You could say. You could say it's a statement of intimidation to political people who are planning to contest politically in the FCT. You could say it's a statement of intimidation. But for you to say that that statement is inciting violence in Rivers State.
Can I tell you how it's inciting?
Make it make sense to me.
Do you know that you will not, if you are not supporting Tinubu, as ADC or Amaechi is coming, we know the story of PDP. And now we know the story of how Labour Party were able to, whether they have survived or not, I don't know. And now that ADC is coming together, and you know the weight, whether we like it or not, the weight that, because Amaechi still have his sympathizers, he still has his followers. And if somebody has made, look at the connection of the state, if somebody has said, if you're not supporting Mr. President, you will not win. And someone has already said in his party, giving the party terms and conditions for the party to move forward. Also saying that you will not field candidates. What do you think that the person will not do to stop any other political party that is gathering weight? You are trying to tell me
that is going
to register, because once Amaechi registers, once Amaechi comes into Rivers State to register, it's already a political wave. It's already a political wave. So if somebody has made, that is why I told you I draw my premises carefully, because somebody has made this statement and somebody is coming to Rivers State to institute a political party that will challenge the status quo.
Now, are you not seeing
the correlation?
I'm not seeing the correlation.
So anything that will happen to stop this particular political party or this particular movement from holding, anything that will make this particular place
to have a strong footing will be nipped in the bud.
Now, let's look at it from the other angle.
Yes.
While on one hand, I do not believe that statement that was made during FCT polls was inciting violence.
But it can be applicable anywhere.
I do not.
Do you know it can be applicable anywhere?
Hold on. I do not believe that statement is inciting. And a statement made during statements that if you don't support Tinubu, I will not support you, will not win. Somehow is incited.
Hold on. We are not forgetting what happened in Rivers State.
Hold on, please. I do not believe that statement in any way incited violence in Ubima, Rivers State, with regards to ward registration. Now, you brought the second variable.
Okay.
With regards to ADC being formidable, right, in Rivers State. Now, one would say to a large extent, and you said that the Amaechi was coming to establish ADC in Rivers State. That was your submission, correct?
Yes.
All right,
but,
very well.
Once it's established, you know what it means.
Very, very well. Now, if we are to look at it
that way,
strictly by your variable, one would wonder if ADC actually is existing in Rivers State. Now, what I mean by that statement, sir, I have asked several people on this show, where is ADC? Now, for example, prior to the by-elections in Rivers State,
yes,
ADC was the first party that came out to boast that they were going to win the 2 by-election seats. They boasted. I discussed that on this show.
Yes.
And I have even tried to, anyway, that's by the way. Now, after all that boast, ADC went silent. In all these times, Amaechi has been coming to Rivers State and going.
Yes. And
that was not an issue. That ADC won his court case does not translate in ADC being established in Rivers State. Let's establish that, because winning a case in High Court, when there are room for appeal in Appeal Court and Supreme Court and anything can happen, does not, it's, one would say one is shouting hooray before time,
victory,
right? One can't say it's victory yet. But in other cases, like the PDP has ongoing court case, but you feel their presence. Labour Party has ongoing court case, even at the national level, but you could see Labour Party doing 1 or 2 across different states. In Rivers State, where is ADC? Except that one time that they came out to boast that they were going to win the by-elections, nobody heard anything anymore. In fact, it was Bode George that even came out at some point to say, oh, ADC has been disenfranchised, when he was trying to accuse INEC of being partial to political parties. So one would say that for someone like Rotimi Amaechi, who is expecting to win, at least who is expecting to, run for presidential elections on the platform of ADC, would have shown ADC some level of influence politically at his state, the grassroots. But we are not seeing any of that. So you're saying that Amaechi is trying to play a safe political game to wait for his party to win in courts before he starts establishing ADC. When you look at the, I am not interested in the reaction of Atiku.
Because so some of them
we are not discussing Atiku.
I know, but we know the government in power, how they have been dealing with political parties, and immediately that case was ongoing, which you know, or which I know in Nigeria, how the political court cases have been going. Then that is why ADC even went quiet, waiting for the outcome of that particular judgment at the High Court. But at least it is a case that have been it stands as a judgment. Whether in High Court or in Appeal Court, it stands as a judgment.
So now you're saying with ADC literally being non-existent. When I say that word, I don't mean it literally, because
I understand what you're saying.
When I say non-existent, it means that in the political ecosystem of Rivers State, just as APP went silent, we are not hearing of it.
I understand what you're saying.
Are you saying that ADC right now is a threat to, I wouldn't say PDP or APC, right? Let me just use the Rainbow Coalition, because all of them have coalesced into one. Are you saying that ADC is a threat to the Rainbow Coalition? That will warrant that attack at Ubima?
Laurentia, you know that Nigerians now are looking for a way to, to rescue themselves. Just like ADC is a coalition. Nobody is looking at ADC. Why you see ADC the way it is because Nigerians don't know the face of ADC. We don't know whether it's Atiku. They recall that the way our mindset is structured here is most of us don't know who our representatives are, or the senator from our senatorial district. We know the governor and the president. These are the people we think that will change our narrative. That's why nobody holds a councillor accountable. So, not knowing that a councillor has a role to play in my life, in my village, you understand. But everyone is calling Tinubu. So why ADC is where they are now is because the tsunami that hit the Nigerian political ecosystem in 2023 is what the Nigerian people are waiting for. If they conclude, let me tell you that ADC, on this table of truth, I've told you the often time that if ADC want to destroy its roof, let them present Atiku. Let Atiku emerge. And you see that ADC, you are even talking about ADC having some names. We are calling their name. It will go into the thin air. Nobody will remember it. But people are just looking. Nigerians, even most Nigerians that voted Labour Party, we are not carrying members of Labour Party. Nigerians are looking for a vehicle that will take them to their destination. We are not talking
about the influence or non-influence of ADC at the national level.
No, but that's where people are looking at. That is why they don't have that face here.
Hold on yet, please. We all know
that's why they don't have that face.
The face of ADC right now is Atiku.
Yes.
Because it was Atiku Coalition.
Yes, that's
before it coalesced. It was called Atiku Coalition.
Of course.
Before it coalesced into ADC.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, moving forward, we are limiting this conversation to Rivers State. That's why I asked, hold on, that's why I asked you. Because you're saying that this attack came from the FCT minister scam. Now, I am now asking, is ADC suddenly so powerful as to it is, in Rivers State, that is now considered a threat? You also said one of your variables was that now that ADC has won its case at the High Court, that Amaechi was coming to establish ADC in Rivers State. And that's, I also remembered something. Sometime last year, Rotimi Amaechi, the former Minister of Transport, Rotimi Amaechi made, a ceremonial comeback to Rivers State. At the airport, there were massive people that came to welcome him. And I remember there, he said it, that he was coming back to establish ADC in Rivers State. That coming back, because he always comes to Port Harcourt.
Of course, that's what I said. Why is this one different?
That particular comeback was political comeback.
Of course.
Because he said, when he was addressing the people that came out for him, that he is coming to establish ADC. It's time for ADC. So when you say that, now that they've won the case, Amaechi is coming to establish ADC in Rivers State, one would be like, he said it last year. It's over a year that he made that statement. And after he made that statement, ADC till now is non-existent.
But they have battles.
Considering
you record, they have battles.
PDP also has battles. APC also have their own battles. Every political party have their own battles, but they are moving on, right? But in Rivers State, one would say to a large extent, ADC is non-existent, in quotes. So how is it possible that a party that boasted of winning by-elections and could not even flaunt a candidate, could not do primaries for by-elections in Rivers State. A party that has not been in the news for anything at all, that literally does not exist.
Yes.
How is it overnight?
How
is it overnight such a huge threat that the FCT minister will now have to hatch a plan to obstruct their e-registration?
Laurentia, what you understand is that in this political game, and you neglect any opponent at your peril. This is politics. No good politician. Let me give example. FCT minister. Even those people you consider power weights in politics, he needs it because he knows what number. You know, there was a time FCT minister asked Tamboa when they had a fallout that how many votes were you using to rule Sokoto State?
If I have to ask that question, do you remember the last time Rotimi Amaechi won election in his local government?
No, I don't.
You don't remember the last time?
Yes.
The last 2 elections, did Rotimi Amaechi win elections in his local government?
I can't say
so
for sure.
How then is he a threat? Hold on. It's all about that because now when you look at, he wants to run for presidency.
Yes.
So one would expect that at least when your political party is looking at you, you should be able to. But Amaechi,
we have had those who lost their states
a lot of persons.
Tinubu lost Lagos.
Hold on, a lot of persons. One can lose Lagos.
Yes, Tinubu lost Lagos.
You're not getting
you don't.
One can lose Lagos and win his local government. That's not what I'm not asking. States. Now, a lot of political pundits are saying that Rotimi Amaechi's hope is coming from the north. Within the South, let's leave, even if we are to take away Rivers State, within the South, how many states can Amaechi comfortably say, I can deliver this state, even if it's one in South? That was why I had to even bring it home.
Closer.
Let's bring it home first. Charity starts from home, right? That's why I asked you a question. Can you remember the last time Rotimi Amaechi won election in his local government, in his ward? You said you don't remember.
Yes.
Now, if you do not remember, and he's such a how then do you now claim that a man who did not win election in his local government or in his ward is now suddenly, overnight, a threat to Rainbow Coalition? I'm not a member of Rainbow Coalition, but I'm playing the devil's advocate right now.
I just made a categorical statement.
Which is?
That no real politician neglects any section when it comes to politics. Because politics is about the number. And I have seen one of my uncles in those days, I think in either 2007, who just went and printed his poster, put everywhere. During that, is it on Hakim or some, just, got some 5 or 6 vehicles, painted his number, was running over around. At the end of the day, he was the first person to congratulate the governor that won. And they called him for, so this is politics. And the governor on seat was now reaching out to him, not knowing whether he has supporters or not. His jingles everywhere on the radio. This is politics, Laurentia. So the way you're saying it because you're in Rivers State here, and because you're seeing Amaechi, or you know what is going on. See, this is politics. Any threat of somebody, just like 2 cocks cannot stay in the same vicinity. They will fight it to finish. So, what if you are just opposing it with Amaechi has lost over time his polling booth and his local government? It is not politics. Politics is about futuristic.
You said Amaechi was a threat.
That is why he's a threat. That is where I'm coming. That is where I'm coming. So
I'm trying to periscope that threat.
That is where I'm coming. Yes, that is what I'm giving you.
All right.
That Amaechi being a politician, and in politics, you don't know the clout
on what somebody has until you go into the field. When P2B was coming, you saw everybody, the traditional Nigerian politician was saying, is this structure in the social media? But when Shof came to push, who was trying to rescue himself?
You cannot using P2B is not
No. You are now relegating Amaechi that you don't have a political
hold on.
That is why those analysis.
Using P2B is not a fair reference because it's an entire thing altogether. Because Peter Obi, that was his first time contesting presidential election.
So you were saying that the narrative of Amaechi cannot change?
Hold on. That was
people's perception about Amaechi cannot change.
Hold on. P2B has always had a particular image before the people. That was why when he came out to run for presidential election, he was like the Messiah. Peter Obi, people have always looked at him as the Messiah. And when the obedient movement started, it was a movement that rocked the host nation on social media. And that was why he was, relegated by other political snobs who felt that election is not won on social media until real-time election came, and it was the Obi wave that even gave a lot of people seats in the National Assembly. However, we have a former governor who was also a former governor like Peter Obi, who also used to be a political godfather, or is a political godfather to some people in Rivers State, who do not, it's not a fair reference because, where is the Amaechi movement nationally? When you're looking at Atiku has what you would call national
clout.
Yes.
Yes, he has.
Does Amaechi have that national coverage? Hold on. When you now come down to, so when you're looking at it at the national, and that is why Atiku's people are insisting that it must be delegate conference. They know the game they are playing because they know that if it comes down to delegate, Atiku is going to carry the day. Unless probably some agreements are reached and Atiku's people decide to back Amaechi or Peter Obi or whoever as it were. But when we are to look at the strength of individuals and you want to compare Amaechi to Peter Obi, that's where I'm looking at. Peter Obi, yes, you could say is an actual threat going by the variables on ground. However, going by Amaechi's variable, I want to understand the national coverage that he has. Number one, I want to understand what is his movement. You have the Atiku movement, you have the Peter Obi movement. What is Amaechi's movement at the national level?
But you don't
when you come down to Rivers State,
yes,
and his party is ADC. Now, one would expect that going by his influence alone, ADC should have been making waves. Just going by his influence, the fact that Amaechi have decided to move, or he has made his intention clear that he wants to be in ADC, you would have seen massive defections into ADC, televised ones. You would have seen ADC office bubbling. You would have seen a lot of things. If nothing else, at least they would have been making noise on the pages of newspapers, jingles and all of that. ADC is flat. Right? The only time they made noise was when they said they wanted to win election. Now, you're still looking at the threat factor. And I have said, when was the last time the same Amaechi won elections? If you're saying with a fact that this shootout, this attack at Amaechi's convoy came from the FCT minister's camp, I am looking at what could warrant the FCT minister to put his integrity on the line and his reputation on the line to attack Amaechi. You say Amaechi is a threat. So we are now decimating that threat because I need you to make it make sense to me in terms of political clout and strength in Rivers State. How do you compare the two? And nationally as well.
I have said something to you that is because you are seated here and you are in Rivers State. But if you go by what politics is, I think this is the third time I'm saying it, that a politician do not, neglect any opponent because you don't know what he could snowball into. That is politics for you. And if Amaechi
is not a threat, you know, you've been asking me this question. If he's not a threat, what is in it while Amaechi will be stopped to come and register in his ward? That alone
Good question.
is $1 million question. Why will Amaechi, other people have been registering other people? So why, the question will be, why will Amaechi be the person that when he said, I'm coming to register, if you're not a threat, from what we are saying now, if Amaechi is not a threat, or if Amaechi has no clout at all, or he has no political image in Nigeria and the River State, why is the headache of whoever must have orchestrated that? And it is coming from a political opponent.
All right, very well.
So
I love that
$1 million. What is, why will the person be bent on
stopping Amaechi?
On stopping Amaechi's comment, in trying to intimidate, gag. Then if Amaechi is a nobody, is a neophyte, if Amaechi does not have a political value, if Amaechi does not present any political threat to the person, why expending your energy and your resources in stopping somebody who has not, just like APC have all the 30 governors. APC have all the 30 governors. Pass electoral law for Nigerians to have real-time transmission is a problem. Why will you still be putting all your people around the chains of government?
All right.
So that is what, in my view, that made me
you feel that for Amaechi to have been attacked. Now, let us look at that $1 million question that you asked. Yes, you said this is politics, right? You recall when during the local government election campaigns last year happened, and APC secretariat, there were attacks here and there.
Yes.
In one of those shows, you, Ugochukwu Ifeanyichukwu, sat on this show and told me that APC secretariat attack was orchestrated by the APC.
Because they had factions.
You said it was.
Yes,
you said it was self-sabotage.
It was self-sabotage.
Now, let's still go there. Now, one would say, if we are to look at that attack, it started the previous day, right?
Yes, a day before the actual day.
And continued until that shootout. Was anyone killed?
That's intimidation. Nobody was killed.
Hold on.
Nobody was killed.
Hold on, Ugochukwu. I am not supporting, let me make it clear.
I
am not supporting the attack.
You are trying to bring out
sometimes they say when you want to catch a thief, you think like a thief. So let me think once like a detective who, everybody is a suspect right now. Was anyone killed? No. And despite that, people were still registering, correct?
Yes.
And that, for that attack to keep happening means there were people to be attacked.
Surely.
Correct?
There was an event they want to
which means that despite the ongoing attack, people were still doing what they were doing.
It was after they have been dislodged.
Now, if
after they have been dislodged.
Hold on. Even after all that,
yes,
the next day, that attack continues because people were still present. You don't attack an air. People were still present. So now, which will make me ask the question.
Okay.
Why did people feel confident to go where violence was ongoing?
You know,
that's number one.
Okay.
Number two, how come there was these attacks and we are yet to get reports of physical victims or injuries on the people that were attacked? That is number two. And number three, how come the attack was ongoing till there was a shootout between the former minister Amaechi's security details and these other people who knew that they were coming. They did not strategize. I mean the hoodlums.
Yes.
They did not look for backup. right? And they suddenly withdrew into the bushes. And all these attacks that happened over 24 hours, nobody was harmed.
No, but their aim was achieved.
What we have on record is that ADC ward office was burnt down. That was literally the only thing that was recorded to have happened in line with that shootout. Now, when you think about all these things, the way I'm thinking about it right now, I am beginning to wonder who actually orchestrated that attack. Because if a political party is attacking another political party's exercise, there will be injuries, particularly when sporadic shooting is involved. One would have recorded maybe 1 or 2 deaths. One would have recorded injuries. Let me bring your mind back to how political violence works out in Rivers State. Recall the time that the former local government chairman, when their time came to an end, and they refused to vacate the office. What happened in Rivers State?
Yeah, there was
at different local secretariats, people died.
Police officers
died.
Local governments.
Police officers died. People died. People had machete cuts. They were victims of stray bullets. That's how political fights in Rivers State, when you say it's violent, there will be casualties. And in this instance, in Ubima, it happened for a while and nothing happened. No casualty, nothing. Who actually orchestrated this?
Valencia, if you go by that, people go with anybody who is a political thug, or anybody who goes on a dirty game, will go with the instruction of the master. The only thing that we do, disrupt the registration, send the message of intimidation, message of violence, message that this will not hold. But the significance is the burning of that party office.
And
if you sense but
the same you said that APC burnt its own office.
No, APC had 2 factions. It must have come from either faction. That's what I said then. You have Emeka Beke and you have the Tono Kocha faction. So when just like the one that happens between PDP, the 2 factions. So you will only play now the Tono Kocha faction then, well, because there was litigation, and that should suffice for no particular faction to be making use of the secretariat.
So in this instance, you're saying that this
faction was now going to make use of the secretariat.
You're saying that this government that attacked
from the other place.
You're saying that this gunmen that carried out this
attack at Ubima
had an order. The order was not to hurt anybody.
That's what it should be.
Are you part of the government?
No. What about the Obi incident?
Like I said, let's not get.
See. This is analysis. This is analysis, and this is shooting.
When you analyze, you will leave. When you enter Edo State, you completely leave Rivers State.
Yes.
And stay there. That's why I don't even want you to go there. Right? Let's stay in Rivers State.
Okay.
You understand? And when you're analyzing with Rivers State, there are a lot of the Rivers State politics is very different from Edo State politics.
No.
They are attacks, but the ecosystem is entirely different.
No, I'm not doing
the people there are also very different.
No, I'm not.
Now let's draw inference from political attacks that have happened in Rivers State over time. Political attacks that happened in Rivers State over time, they are usually casualties.
No. This one is different.
Now you're saying the order for this one is different.
See, this one is like you have just said that ADC is not on ground. ADC is still building, and the coming home of Amaechi to register is significant. Just like P2B just registered. You know, the other time I was saying that P2B.
And interestingly, I forgot to mention. It is e-registration.
Yes.
What was the e-registration?
No. This one, we have seen the governors. APC floated their own. Governors went there to capture. That is why we even say that where was Fubara He should be the one that they will use in starting the day. So let's leave that aside. He could come to his hometown to make a statement. This is his state. And he coming to his ward instead of staying somewhere in Abuja is making a statement. And
it's what the threat is.
It's what the threat is. So then it's not
how come when the first political statement was made in 2025?
That political statement was to be awareness. That ADC, that one is awareness.
ADC is now on
ADC is now ground. That one is just an awareness. And that was his political home after leaving APC. So he could be excused.
But for this now,
for this one
actual politics.
It is actual politics. That is why the another question will be, Laurentia, who is feeling threatened by the coming home of Amaechi to be
So who is feeling threatened?
Who is feeling? That is the question on air, begging for an answer.
No, you're going to feeling threatened because you have already said it here that is the FCT minister that is feeling threatened.
That is why we are saying that even APC, with all the governors, with them, why are they still threatened? Because this election is not about political party. This election is about the individual, about whom Nigerians want, about people who want to vote. And they recall that what happened in Rivers State, I voted in Rivers State in 2023. What happened to the votes of Rivers people? People were, even till today, people are leading that Labour Party won Rivers State. What happened? That the vote of Rivers State was given to APC. Who has come to disclaim, even the former chairman of Obiapo, Chijoke Ihumo, said it on national television. Who has called him? Let them take him
now,
to court.
Now, you have also said again.
Let them take him to court.
You have also said, you know, the more you speak, the more I find it interesting.
Yes, you find it interesting.
You have also said that this election is not going to be about political parties, but about individuals. Correct?
About individuals that are presented. That is why I told you that if Atiku
do you still stand by that?
Yes, if Atiku comes, that's why I said if Atiku emerges in ADC, ADC might not have that solidarity.
We are coming. I'm limiting this to Rivers.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to go to international. If you say that elections in 2027 is going to be by individuals, not by political parties, then how then is Amaechi a threat? Since you cannot remember the last time he won as an individual elections in his
local government,
in his ward, Seth.
Okay.
And not just that, the people he supported and Rivers people knew he supported did not even come second in elections in Rivers State. One, you were making your defense from the angle of ADC as a party is going to be the threat, and that was why this attack had to happen. Now you have transited from that now, and you have now brought it down to individual, that elections in 2027 is going to be by individual strength and not by political party. And if we are to go by that, how then, because I'm trying to make it make sense to me, how then is Amaechi the individual now that is going to be seen as a threat, when in the first instance, you as a person do not remember the last time he won election or his influence made his candidate win election, even in his own local government. Make it make sense.
But I've answered you that question.
You have also answered that anything can happen.
That in any political climate, your opponent is always a threat. Just like you are in a football pitch, and you now say that because you have a squad, you have a team that has been beating people over time, and you now go to the other opponent and you say we can easily, beat these people silly. It's your own peril. That is politics, because politics comes with a different wave.
Do you think it's fair making inference that the FCT minister's camp was responsible for this?
You see, this is politics.
Because that is why I asked.
Yes, this is
because
politics.
This is why I asked you this is. Maybe tomorrow, these days, when people make comments on national television, even on social media, after that comment, I mean, there is freedom of speech. The problem is freedom after the speech. If you're being called upon to defend the accusation that you made on the FCT minister's camp, can you defend it? Do you think these variables that you have mentioned are actual concrete defense?
These variables are very, very visible to the blind and loud to the deaf. Which other political party is here? No, tell me, which other political party will be feeling threatened by the presence of Amaechi? Which other? Is it PDP? Or is it the Rainbow Coalition? Who is the leader of the Rainbow Coalition? And who is bent on stopping people not to present candidates? No, this is the facts speaks for themselves.
When you say stopping,
no. See, I don't want to go to. It's not everything I say.
When you say stopping, the stopping people from presenting candidates.
PDP today cannot present a candidate.
Well, the truth of the matter remains that now, when you say someone is bent on stopping people from presenting candidates,
yes,
it is parties that present candidates, not people. People are actually godfathers to candidates, right? But it is parties that flaunt. We don't have independent candidates.
Parties.
Now,
but
when it comes to elections,
yes,
presidential elections proper,
yes,
you will now start saying that probably the FCT minister will be looking at playing the politics at the political party level. Not because you're talking of presidency. One state cannot field a presidential candidate.
You don't know. I'm talking about my knowledge of a PDP.
I understand. I understand 100% because now you're saying who is interested or who has said he will stop people from presenting candidates.
Yes.
Now you're making reference to the statement by the FCT minister, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, last time I checked, the FCT minister has not gone attacking individuals in PDP, has he? Rather, the crisis has always been between PDP and PDP.
But in impeding the progress of PDP.
Regardless of how you look at it,
okay,
what is going on is a party must present presidential candidates, not an individual. So I am still coming down to your variable because you're saying whose interest is being threatened. The FCT minister's interest is being threatened because of the individual that will present the candidate. I'm trying to let you know that it is the party that will present the candidate. And if there is anybody to go to war with, it will not be individual.
No, you didn't get what I said. I said who's stopping parties.
No, you said who is stopping individual. Later I can go and
individual
I listen when you speak.
That is stopping people, parties from presenting candidates.
Even if I'm to go by that now, even if I'm to go by that
party that is being threatened.
So if the political party is being threatened,
how would they present candidates?
Well, one would say first of all, I'm playing the devil's advocate.
Yes. No, you are right.
Registration is e-registration, not physical registration. Yes. So if you're talking about that, you could talk about world congresses. If there are attacks on the world congresses, right, on the state congresses of ADC, that will hamper ADC from having a structure in Rivers State, I can sit back and start looking at that argument. If we are to discuss politics in the real sense of the word and being politically strategic, if it comes to maybe attack, one would say it's foolish to attack Amaechi because you've given him unnecessary relevance and publicity.
No, yes.
But when we can have this conversation is if there is an attack during what local government and state congresses.
So the attack now
hold on please. I can now sit back and start looking at it from the angle of political strategy because you want to destabilize ADC from having structure in Rivers State. And if they do not have structure in Rivers State, it's a problem. However, for the Guba elections, not presidential elections. However, and it will also affect the delegates that will represent Rivers State at the national level, thereby further reducing Amaechi's number of delegates. Let's get that right. Now, still moving forward, one would also say if that attack happened at the Congress level, now we are now looking at the attack going to the heart of ADC in the sense that it's affecting the structure. But if, and that is usually what it will affect is the Guba elections.
No,
but then, they also, the constitution did not say you must go to your ward. So the ADC could choose to fly its people, members of the ADC, to anywhere in this part of the country and hold elections. Moving forward, if you are to even go to a more advanced political strategy, it will be what is happening in PDP, what is happening in Labour Party. And even the case that ADC has, you know that ADC has more than one case. We're talking of the one of internal squabbles.
Yes.
You have not mentioned the one of INEC, the registering ADC and other political parties. That case is still standing. And when you look at the variables of the case, there is one that will actually get ADC disqualified if the court is to look strictly at the Electoral Act. I am not even going there. So what I am looking at is when you are pointing fingers, because I am trying to pick out your variables one by one and look at it critically, right? So that you also know what whether your variables are concrete.
No, they are not. They are concrete in your eyes. They are.
And now we are looking at it. I'm looking at it from the other prism, because we cannot have a monotonous conversation.
No.
I'm looking at it from the other prism, that if you're saying it, if you've considered this, have you considered that?
See, Laurentia.
Yes.
What I want to say from all the expose you've made is, I want to take you back to what e-registration, yes, but Amaechi is a political bigwig. And you are the person that have been saying that ADC is not on ground. So he's coming to register his words. Is a significant, is a big statement to now, enlighten people and to get the people's conscious, the people conscious too, that ADC is now in place. So whether he registers in Abuja or he registers, the only thing is that this is politics. Anything you want to do as a politician, you are speaking to your supporters. So any which way Amaechi wants to register is nobody's business. He has chosen to come to his hometown to register, and the coming home is making a statement. And I say, ask the question, who is being threatened by Amaechi homecoming to mere registration? Mere registration of a political party, because politicians know what it means. It is I here and you seated. I don't know what. When it happened to Fobara here, we stayed here and dragged Fobara. But now that is Amaechi, nobody's talking about it. It is now not significant. But he, as a politician, and we that are political students, know what it means for him to come home. That coming home alone is campaign. That coming home alone is the curiosity of the people will be aroused. The party will be built in the consciousness of the people. When Peter Obi wanted to defect to ADC, what did he? He went to Enugu. It was strategic. This one he just registered, because I knew that he has not tendered his former resignation from Labour Party. No, I say it's strategic for him to go there and now declare it was a regional affair. So that I am using it to give you how politicians play their politics. Any move by a politician is to expand his coast. Is to announce himself. You don't need to go to the pages of newspaper and saying, I want to do that alone is a news. They are newsmakers. That's what we call them in communication. In tune of communication, they are the newsmakers. This Amaechi has come home, is making news.
It actually made news because of this attack.
No, it would have made news. Because Amaechi will be coming with his own media team. And other media stations will be there, whether we like it or not. No matter how microzoned, you may be seeing Amaechi. Amaechi is still a force to reckon with individual politics.
The news of this attack
has now amplified it.
And so you get the point.
Yes, I've amplified it.
Amaechi registering is the same as P2B registering. It's a normal general news anybody can see anywhere. However, Amaechi being attacked on his way to register in his word is now a bigger
That
news.
is why it's senseless.
So now, at the end of the day, well,
and why have nobody been apprehended?
Well,
why is the Nigerian police Grace Eringi-Koko? I've not had her. I've not had her make a statement.
They have not stayed.
You understand? They are but we know where those investigations end, because the powers that be. This is Nigeria now. That is why I told just Amaechi now. If Amaechi, perhaps anything happens to him, look at I sat here.
Nothing will happen.
I sat here in Malaysia and told you that El-Rufai is among the untouchables in Nigeria. When they touch it, what happened? Ubima that was shot in the crisis in Edo State, who much on the. So Nigerians should use it to learn their lessons and guide them. So your life, your safety first. Because if it happens, we will just sit down here and talk about it. Nothing will, no heads will roll. And before we leave it finally, I want to beckon on the political actors in Rivers State. We don't want to go back to the dark days. We have not accounted for Bola Ige. We have not accounted to Harry Marshall. Laurentia, we are going places in ATN. I give you what happened. After we sat here two weeks ago, you remember I made mention of the killing of Harry Marshall. A lawyer has gone to court to start the investigation. I don't know if you have seen it on the news. The person watched this because people forget. Nigerians have short memories. People have forgotten those people. If not for us analysts that sometimes issues can snowball into you mentioning those names. Leah Sharibu, who is giving her that quarter of newspaper again. But if somebody talks about her, and you see people Mubad, who is remembering her, Alex Bade, who is remembering those people now.
Right.
These are the people that have died because of this political activism and nothing happened. So what we are saying in effect is that please let us not hit the polity. Politics is a game of interest.
Would you say, going by what has happened now and in Rivers State, very condemnable?
Very, very.
Because I will always say it's condemnable. However, I will do my job by looking at every single variable.
Of course, of course.
And the fact that I'm periscoping it very seriously.
No, you are bringing it to what it ought to be.
You laid accusation.
Yes, and
I want to know why you laid that accusation.
Yes.
But then it appears that politics in 2027 is going to take a very different dimension.
That's why I say I don't want us to go back to that days.
That would be a very violent dimension if nothing is done about it, if it's not properly checked.
You have said it all.
Now, because when you look at what happened in Edo State, the attack on P2B, and it's still ADC.
Yes.
And then you now have this attack on Amaechi. Even though I am skeptical and I'm very interested to know how this will end, one would say, are we transiting into politics going from what it should be to do or die?
We are retrogressing now because we are going back to the dark days, especially in Rivers State. We know what it has been, maybe if not for the B factor. But you were here when I told you that I voted in my own parish. I voted on the presidential election day, which was in February. Fast forward to August, to March 18th. Laurentia, I could not vote. I could not, the place was flooded with talks. I could not vote on the governorship election day in my own parish, where we have about 23 polling units. So is it what we want to go back to, where ADC now will bring their own talks, and PDP, what do you call it, APC will bring their own talks, and how will people exercise their franchise? That means people, we are talking about disenfranchisement, that people, look at what happened in Abuja. Look at what happened in Rivers State by-election. How many votes? That means the minority will continue to elect people that govern the majority. And that is why politicians don't care. Because if they are governing us by the number of votes we turn out, Nigerians should have the joy of going to exercise their franchise. But what do we see? People every day are becoming lukewarm because of all those infractions. So I beckon on the political actors to take it easy. They are governing human beings. It is for our own good.
Or the question will be, are politicians becoming increasingly desperate?
No, it's desperation now.
To power because what we say to a large extent, this seems to be desperate. This also brings me back to the elections in 2023 and what happened in Lagos State.
Yes.
Where a lot of people who came out to vote for Labour Party were attacked by MC Olomo and his staffs, right? And even Kate Henshaw, an actress, some of them went out.
Was assaulted.
She was also, she ran for her life, she streamed it live. And
many of them.
People were clearly fingered. People were caught on camera doing that, and they were not called to account.
Yes.
And
they will see
nothing happened.
They will see the around
so now,
2027.
one would say and this whole violence was linked to APC during the 2023 elections in Lagos State.
Yes.
And one would say to a large extent, with all these things happening, and fingers are pointing at the ADC, the APC, the president probably it's time to have conversation with his people, his supporters, because it will even further whittle down his support base moving into 2027 if this crisis continues, and then voter apathy will also increase. They don't want to go and die.
Look at three of them, both Obi, Atiku, and the Tinubu. How many votes? If you join them together, 6.1 million, Atiku 6.8 million, Tinubu 8 million.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
No, you're only what you just said. It might not work like it might not work. No, it might not work like that because obedience have not told you they will vote Atiku. Obi and his people appears to be very different.
No, you don't. I'm talking about the result of 2023. Yes.
But now they are coming together, right, in ADC. And if they come together in ADC, and probably Obi is not giving the tickets, there is no guarantee that
he will
vote for Atiku.
No, he won't be there. Obi will not be in ADC. He said he will be on the ballot. He has maintained it. He said, I will be on the ballot.
has registered as ADC.
No, it doesn't. The defect now, I know now, we are registered.
Have you gone through the Electoral Act, the new Electoral Act? Are you aware?
They don't give wave again.
Now, the new Electoral Act, that is why political parties are crying.
Yes.
The new Electoral Act will prevent all these things from happening. I think Section 70 or so.
Okay.
You know, political parties were busy dragging the electronic votes
transmission.
That they forgot to look at the others. They understood what happened after it was now passed. And I think, now, what happens is that is why political parties are all rushing to do their e-registration because the window now is very short.
Yes.
They have up until, I think, March or April to submit their
national register.
Yes. Now, INEC recognizes that this is the national register. And when that window passes, there can no longer be registration for party membership. If that window closes for party membership, party primaries will hold much later.
Yeah, of course.
And when that party primaries hold and ends, and you choose to defect because it didn't go well.
With you.
With what national register?
Are you going to?
Because last time INEC checked, you are a member of the ADC. And so your guess is as good as mine. So politicians have to be very, very careful in this defection thing because, and if you're defecting to any party, you have to be sure that it's going to favor you. Because if at the end of the day that window closes, the register is submitted to INEC, INEC takes into account. It means that you cannot run an election on another political party because the register that INEC has, you are a member of the ADC. So you cannot suddenly, because the primaries did not favor you like Obi did in 2022. It didn't favor him in PDP, he ran over to, in this instance, it's not going to work.
Okay, and this...
And to a large extent, it's a very good one.
I even love it. I love it.
It's very good.
I love it.
So if that plays out in ADC, because that's what is going to play out, unless Obi loses to Atiku, Atiku's camp is insisting it must be delegate conference. If it's delegate conference, you know that Atiku is going to win because Obi has not solidified state because he has been busy doing every other thing but playing the real politics at the party level. So now that is going. Let's probably Atiku and Obi comes to an agreement and they decide to flaunt Obi. And
so what's the fate of Kwankwaso now? Is he going to use his
Kwankwaso said he won't want to be vice president, yes? Has he agreed to be vice president?
They are floating Obi Kwankwaso now.
Yeah, they are floating Obi Kwankwaso. One would say, do you think it's a good arrangement?
For political numbers, it's a good arrangement. It's going to be a good arrangement. Yes, for political
Then you
numbers.
bring in the fast reducing numbers Atiku have, and then you bring in Amaechi. Would Amaechi work for Obi?
Amaechi has no option than to work for Obi.
You think so?
Yes.
Maybe depending on the agreement that is reached.
Maybe they will take him as ambassador to the United States.
ADC is going to be very interesting.
Yeah,
you know, coming into. I'm interested to see how this whole.
I want to see how the thing pans out.
Serious, I think a lot of politicians do not understand the implication of that electoral act until primaries are done.
Until the monies come upon them.
They will now understand.
Wow.
They will now understand that.
Those who structured it, but it's good because the
politicians themselves structured it. You know the thing is,
and if you see some of them in APC now that came, you saw the Congress in Delta State, which some of those political people, Ibori, Moke, and Ubima Agege boycotted. Now that the PDP has taken over the structure of APC, as they alluded. Now that those in the Senate under APC or PDP representing those states and they want to go back, immediately you are being stuck because even you can't go to other political parties because if you're not chosen, you understand, if you're not chosen to flag the flag of your party, you cannot go to any other political party. You know, that's why some of them gained from Labour Party. You know, majority of them, like Waboze, some of them gained, immediately their party denied them, they went to Labour Party and they won. So, but this time it will not.
It's not going to be business as usual.
And which is good for our.
Which is good. I think APC did it.
Did it they did it for their own favor.
Yes.
In order to.
However, yes.
That will implosion so that those people will not go and campaign.
But then they will be inside and work against them. You know that politics have transited from party supremacy doesn't work anymore in Nigerian politics.
They can be there and
they will be there, but frustrate them. So it's a two-way traffic. I think probably they are looking at people not defecting later.
Yes.
Because of the Obi factor in 2020.
What of double registration that most of them do? You know, placeholders and all that.
INEC will have that register. And probably in that register, they will see where you registered first.
Whether you're
and where you registered first. And where you registered first probably becomes your party.
Your home.
So
the
second registration will be an
afterthought.
And probably if it is contested, you could even lose both parties.
Prosecuted, yes.
You could lose being member of any of the party. Because I mean that is not it's not politically right.
No, it's not political. You're not a statesman.
2027 is going to be interesting. A lot of people say that this is the first time a politician is the president of the country, and not just having a politician that is president, but it's also the first time. I wouldn't say it's the first time. Let's say first time a core politician is being the president of the country and has the legislature
to his kitty
and knows how to lobby his way out of things and into things. So let's see how this plays out. But the disadvantage is that it's leaving a serious bitter aftertaste in the mouths of Nigerians with respect to the 10th Senate. With respect to the 10th Senate. But we'll see how it's going to play out. Whether the will of Nigerians will torpedo right, whatever electoral and political maneuverings that will happen. And
if they allow the re-election to take place. Now they have gotten
elections will hold earlier than expected.
I know their will in the Electoral Act. Let them let us have free, fair, and credible elections, and then let's see what happens.
Free, fair, and credible elections. Right. A lot of persons say that the only free, fair, and credible elections Nigeria ever had was MKO Abiola election that was cancelled. But then that is also contestable. Thank you so much, Ugochukwu Ifeanyichukwu, for coming. It's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you, Laurentia and Nigerians. Is anytime we dive into River State, is huge. And
we open a lot of we open cans of worms.
And I want to plead to political actors in Nigeria anywhere that this energy and this kind of power they impute in politicking, they should also invest it in the dividends of democracy. Because if they put in like 60% of the energy with which they use in fostering themselves on us, and they want to grab political positions in delivering the actual service, Nigerians will not be crying. Will not be crying that fuel is going back to 1,000 plus. We'll not be crying that no service vehicles on our routes. We'll not be talking about epileptic electricity supply, because now we don't even have fuel for our cars. What of the one that the Gencos use in providing public power supply? That's $1 million question, Laurentia.
Right.
Because our suffering seems to be increasing when we thought that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's policies are beginning to, see the light of the day. Let him try with his economic team not to allow Nigerians to be pushed back to the
when you talk about the Gencos and electricity, I might just, even though we are out of time, but I might just take a very different position, because I mean Abia states have left the national grid. They have left the national grid.
And very soon Bayelsa will leave.
Bayelsa will leave. Small Bayelsa state will leave. And in River State, we are rich.
No, we are playing politics.
And we are still. When it comes to light situation and all of that, for some reason we should start putting pressure.
No, I'm putting pressure on the governor. I'm putting pressure on him.
Let him be in some things and ask the state governors. Abia State has left the national grid.
How did they do it?
Can we leave the national grid?
Imo State have built power plants and even modular refinery. What of River State?
Yes, very good question.
River State modular refinery, where is it? River State, even the ones that Amaechi did, who will revitalize them and give us the Songhai farm.
Let's not go too far.
Considering that, give us what we want.